Hello and welcome to my channel, J.I. Colourist. My name is Jody, and in today's video we are going to show you my kind of step-by-step process of how I'm altering a page and using the stickers that I purchased off of Amazon that are clear bottles. So I have selected Johanna Basford's Lost Ocean coloring book. I have removed a page from there. I disc bind my books so that I can remove pages to work on them. I have selected, this is a double page spread, but I am just going to be focusing on this page for now. And it was a ribbon of fish going all the way across. So I'll just quickly show you both sides, and the fish continued on to this page. So what I thought would be cool is if the fish were actually jumping into this clear bottle. So that's what I'm hoping it will look like in the end. I have started with the blocking out some color on the bottom to get rid of the rest of the fish that were over here. So far I have used the Folk Art Color Shift paint. It is the Blue Flash, and it is, I'll just open it up and you can see, it's kind of a purple color to start with. And when it goes down, it ends up being blue. And then when you move it in the light, there are purple flashes. I used a sponge brush to kind of tap the paint on like that so that it was more mottled looking. That is better coverage, so that if you just put it on smooth, then it's quite sheer. If you kind of dab it on and mottled, then it's a bit darker, and it ends up hiding the fish over here. I did try using some white, I only had white metallic acrylic paint in white pearl over here to hide the fish first. They were still very noticeable, so that didn't work. So then I moved on to the Blue Flash. I now am going to probably put on some Glitterific Tropical, and it's just really chunky glitter, and it's also acrylic paint, and I think I'm gonna add some of that along here just to spice it up a little bit more. The other items I so far have done is, before I even did the paint on the bottom, I took the bottle that I was planning on using, and I used a Albrecht Durer Watercolor pencil and traced where I wanted it to be. I used a watercolor pencil because I can dissolve the lines and they will disappear. I also used a wave stencil that I had from my scrapbooking days, and I just drew on some waves across the page just to get a kind of a line. The waves won't always look like this in the end. They will be a little bit different, but at least it's a start. I have a place to go. I will be coloring obviously some water underneath this. This will end up being the item that I put on last, and it should be sticky somehow. I think you peel off the back and place it on. But for now, at least I have the outline of the bottle. Even though it's faint, I can see it, and that's where we're at right now. I am going to be doing some sky, because I mean obviously this is quite blank up here, so I haven't decided on what the rest of that's going to look like, because I do want it to be as if they're out of the water and they're jumping into and the bottle is catching the fish. I think it kind of looks fun, and I am happy that most of the fish are blacked out over here with the paint, and I think by adding a little bit more paint layers to this, it will hide them even further. So that's my progress so far. I'm going to continue doing this. I will pop back in and show you my progress, and hopefully this page comes together. See you soon. So there's a couple of fish at the very bottom of here that were kind of cut off. So what I've done is I've taken my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White and a kind of a junky paintbrush, and I'm just painting over the lines to white them out. And then I'm hoping that I can then go over this with some paint and or color over it, and hopefully I will no longer have half a fish. So that's the plan for right now. I've also taken a Faber Castell Albrecht Durer Watercolor pencil in Prussian blue, and I'm lightly coloring in the water around the fish so that it'll be a little bit lighter than the water on the outside, and hopefully the color matches will be fairly good. So this is the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and then just washing off my paintbrush. So that's my step number 2 on this process, and I'll keep going. I have lightly completed coloring the inside water, and I'm just going to give it another light coat all over to smoothen it out. Then I am going to activate it because I think that it will look more like water if it's activated. You do not have to activate watercolor pencils, but I think that the effect will look better. So I'm hoping. I am not going over the fish with the water because I want the fish to be colorful, and I'm going to do them separately. So, and I haven't colored over the bleed proof white area right now. I'm letting that dry further, and then I will color over it. And if I can't color over it with the watercolor pencil, I will use my polychromos in the same color as the watercolor pencil, or I'll use a Pitt Artist pen in the same color. And it's darkening it up a little bit. I do want it to be a different color than what is in the water, but not strikingly different. So that's how that's looking. And I've got a wet brush, and I'm just going to activate it. And I'll continue doing this, and I'll check back in with you when I've got a bit more done. So I need to go off and do some other things for the morning. So what I'm going to do is apply some of this Glitterific Folk Art tropical paint, and so I'm just globbing it out. It's very, very thick, and what I'm going to do is add just a titch of water to it to allow it to be spread a little bit easier, just using a little spray bottle. And I'm using this sponge applicator, which I don't normally use for this, but it seems to be working. And what I'm doing is just dabbing on some of the sparkle paint over top of the flash. So between the two of them, it should be a fairly sparkly page, but it should also hide quite a bit. I'm just gonna, using the sponge applicator, and just kind of dab on. And just give the appearance of some sparkle in the sea. Not sure if you can see that. And then I'll let that dry while I go off and do some other tasks this morning. And then we'll be back later with a dry page. And that'll also make a difference between, there's be sparkles in the water but not in the jar. So that'll make the jar stand out a little bit more too. Okay, I like how that's looking so far. I'll let this dry, and we'll be back for another step in a little while. while the bottom was drying, I decided to add a little bit to the sky area. It was quite, over half the page was blank, so I wanted to fill that up a little bit. So using a crafter square stencil of birds, I used a micron pen and traced out 3 different sizes of birds, and then using a watercolor sketch box paint pen, I did that. And I also used a fine liner graphic in a brush. The brush is a little bit frayed, so then I switched to the sketch box. And then I just used a silver signal gel pen for the eye, just so that it was showing out. So I think it's coming along. I was able to color over the bleed proof white. It did turn it a little bit milky, so I may need to come back in with a polychromos. I have put another layer of color down on the watercolor pencil and activated it again. So right now it has about 2.5 layers of pencil on it, and the Glitterific is dry. And I think it looks sparkly. You certainly can't see that there was a bunch of fish over here now, which was my main goal. I am going to use some pastel on here, and also some gel crayon to do some few fluffy clouds in the sky. I am going to use Zig Clean Color Reel brush pens. They are a water-based pigment, and I am going to do the fish in multicolors. I also have gone and snipped off the cork on my bottle, because obviously the fish cannot jump into the bottle if there's a cork on it. So I have cut that off, and the fish now will jump quite in. So the fish will jump into the bottle away from the praying birds, and they'll be caught in the bottle. So I'm hoping that this all looks great in the end, but for now I will start coloring the fish. A little check-in on progress. I have completed using a variety of Pitt pens by Faber Castell, along with the Zig Clean markers, as well as some Jelly Roll Glaze pens to complete the fish in some colorful colors. I have, as I mentioned earlier, added the birds. I'm now going to complete the sky background, and once that's done, I will then place the sticker onto the bottle, and we'll be done with this page. I think that it's looking good. I did add a little bit of wave-like squiggly lines on the water inside the bottle, so that it wasn't all just one color. I think that it'll look great once it's finished, and I'll just start on the background now. To start off with the background, I'm going to use some pan pastels. Just going to take a light blue, and the color is actually called Phthalo Blue Tint. And just with a sponge applicator, just going to put an overall light coat of blue, and I'm going to leave it a little bit mottled looking. And I'm going right down into the bottle area. And then I'm also going to come in and do some clouds. I'm just going to take a Kleenex, or actually I have some makeup wipes here, and just going to push down a little bit harder to get that into the paper. I will spray it with fixative as well, but then it doesn't have such a dusty and I will come in and clean up the wave area as well a little bit later, but that's actually maybe hard for you to see on camera. And now I'm going to grab some cloud stencils and I'll stencil in some clouds. I'm going to bring in my Ranger Distressed Ink crayon and just smear some on my mat, and I'm going to use a very thin brush, and I'm going to brush on a few. Now I don't want necessarily the whole cloud stencil, I just want a portion of it, so I just and then if I don't like the shape of it, I'll just adjust it. And then even without the stencil, I can add some clouds. Just using the brush itself. So using my makeup brush, and I went right into the pan pastel as well, and just added a bit onto the brush, and I'm making a few more cloud-like. Just deepen up that. Okay, I don't need a lot of clouds, just a few to make it kind of look like a sky. And the clouds over the sea kind of can be more wispy like. And that's all. We will do some fixative spray outside, and before I do that, I will fix the area. I will spray the fixative before I put on the sticker, because I don't want fixative to get all over the sticker itself. So I will go spray this outside shortly here, and just going to take a clean brush, and I'm going to brush off the area where the I don't want any. Okay, so that's how the sky is looking, and we'll be back. Okay, just wanted to show you I used workable fixative. I sprayed it outside. I attached my page to a plastic cutting mat, and with a small clip. I also taped off and protected the bird, because it was watercolor ink on there, or water soluble ink, and I also did not spray this area. So really the only area I sprayed was where the pastel area itself is, and it's workable fixative, so if I do need to come in and still add some additional pencils, I can do that on top. So that is done. Here's how we're looking right now. We got some shininess on the bottom, and so now I'm ready to place the sticker, and I'm just gonna make sure I've got it lined up there. I'm gonna peel the backing off, and then I'll add the sticker. And okay, and here it is. The bottle sticker is in place. It just sticks right down, no problem. And I'll just remove the plate from here. So we can take a look at it in its full. So yeah, happy how this turned out. Can't see the fish over here, which is great. If I decide to come back and finish the other side, just to show you what the other side is looking like, it'll look like that. And I may or may not do this at a later date, but for now I'm happy with how this page turned out, and that is another altered page for the month. So thank you for coming along, and as I showed you the progress on how I accomplished this page. And until next time, have a colorful and creative week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.